Hi there, here's Peter out of the post-production. I have a short info before the episode starts. After the outro music, there will be some more short excerpts from our pre-talk with Wade. And now, enjoy! So, Band läuft.
Hello and welcome to the Caller Lounge. I am Martin Kuhl from Baden-Baden, Germany.
And I am Peter Höfelmeier from Kiel, also Germany. And together we'll welcome you to episode number 7.
And all our listeners realize we speak English today, and they ask themselves why.
Ooh.
And we do that because we have the pleasure to welcome the recording artist and the producer in the square dance world, Wade Driver. Hello, Wade.
Hello there. Hi, Martin. Peter, how are you?
Hello, fine, thank you. So nice
All
to have
fine.
you here.
Thanks for being there. Yes. Our today's topic is music, and we cannot think of a better guest than you. So thank you very much for your time. And we're very happy that Laura, the hurricane, didn't pay you a visit.
Yes, so are we, as a matter of fact.
You started Rhythm Records in 1975, and both your music and your calling is one of a kind in the whole square dance world. And it's, in our opinion, it's not your voice or your calling or your recordings. It's your overall presentation altogether. And in one of our last episodes, we had Peter's vocal coach as a guest. And although we wanted to talk about singing, she said that she does not want to try square dance because she didn't like the appearance of square dance. And her statement was, square dancing could be much more. We were shocked and asked her what was she missing. And she said, well, she missed the dancing. And she said, callers must leave room for the dancers to dance, not to walk, not to stop and go, not to hurry through a choreo. And she said, all square dancers can be compared to a choir, callers and dancers. And in her eyes, all participants must do something for the success of the activity. Callers and dancers have the responsibility to dance. And today we don't want to talk about calling as such, but we want to talk about how can we let the dancers dance? My first question is, when you do a singing call, a recording, do you visualize the dancers dancing to that music?
Absolutely. If they cannot dance to it, why bother? And I must say, I absolutely, totally agree with your vocal coach. And we do not put nearly the emphasis on dancing that we should. We think if they walk to the beat of the music, that's dancing. And in my opinion, that's not dancing, that's close order drill.
Just walking.
Okay.
Yep. Square dance, square walking. Yeah.
Has the dancing changed over the time?
Yes, it has. First of all, I started in the 50s, and the tempo was much faster at that time, right? And it was still coming out of the old barn dance with the fiddle, with the ding 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 ding, it was all a hoedown type of a feel, and it was much faster. Now, since that time, we have gotten away from all country music, and we've gone into all genres. And therefore, some of the songs that we do, even the new modern country, are much slower tempo recorded than what we used to do. Therefore, it's smoother, it's softer, and plus our dancing base is a little older. It's a lot older, I guess, in some areas, but we need to get smooth enough to allow them to actually dance on the floor rather than just walk around.
Well, but I was very unpolite to ask you your age, and you answered 82.
Yes.
And so not being rude, but you are older, but you are still the man in the business. So
Yeah.
I think older dancers can still dance, don't they?
Absolutely. Age is kind of funny. My wife is 30 years younger than I am, and she sometimes struggles to keep up because I think you only gonna live one time, and you just ought to get after it. And I enjoy living, and you're as old as you want to be if you take care of yourself. So, but today's dancers are my age or a little younger, but the average age is probably in the mid late high 50s, something like that, maybe in the low 60s. But again, it's kind of like retirement. If a person retires and sits on their porch and just rocks in their rocking chair and watches the world go by, they become old. If a person retires and says, okay, now I'm going to do all those things I couldn't do for years. I'm going to travel. I'm going to go out. I'm going to join a club. I'm going to jog. I'm going to whatever. Then they stay young. Their body might get a little chronologically older, but their mind stays active and young. And that's what we should do, in my opinion, for our square dancers.
What do you think callers must do to enable the dancers to dance and to dance with a posture, with a smile in their face, and not just walking boom boom boom? What do you think?
Well, again, it's only my opinion, but first of all, the callers have to get past their own ego and stop making the dancers dance to their voice and start allowing the dancers to actually dance to the music. And then, if they program it properly, for example, if you listen to a disc jockey on the radio, he will never play the same kind of song twice in a row. He's either, from an emotional point of view, he's either going up or down at all times. Mm-hmm. And if you can learn to control the emotions of your floor, they will pretty much do what you want. If you want them happy, you can make them happy. If you want them sad, you can make them sad. But it takes work, it takes practice, it takes talent, and it takes learning in order to accomplish that. And some callers are not willing to put that effort in.
And is there? Do you have a special way to teach dancing to your dancers, or do you think if you present you choose the right music, it comes from its alone? It's alone, and the dancers feel it because of your choice of the music.
I think it's a combination. I think it's not just the choice of the music, but it's a choice of how you present the music. All right, and I come from a heavy military background, so it's sometimes very much work for me not to be like a drill sergeant. So, and you have to back off. But from day one, the first thing I do right from absolute day one, once I teach circle left and who your partner and your corners are, I make a ring. And I say, okay, we're going to dance. We're not going to walk. We're not going to stroll. We're not going to jump, hop, skip, or anything else. We're going to dance, and we're going to be lively. Now, the difficulty there is you have people that come out that have worked hard all their lives and have never danced ever, particularly some of the hardworking men who retire and they come into square dancing. So they're having to learn to dance right from scratch. So I have them circle left. And I have them circle right and circle left. And until they can actually hear that shuffle on the floor and get a little bounce in your step and start having a little rhythm. And I use some country western music. I use some pop music, some hip hop, a little bit of everything. Because what counts, what I tell my dancers is you have a downbeat and you have an upbeat. The downbeat is like the motor of your car, and it's thum, 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 and you must move your feet to that beat. The upbeat is the transmission in your car. You must put it in gear to go forward. That upbeat's what's going to project you forward, and that type of music is what's going to give you a feel. Is it going to make you feel happy, sad, peppy, perky? There's a whole range of emotion that the music can apply to. And the callers must know it well enough to be able to translate it for the dancers. That's just my opinion.
Okay, that's a great explanation.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Perfect. I can think of a few guys in my club that can that need that motor comparison. That's great. How do you choose the music for your club night? Is it your personal mood? Is it a mood of the group that you know?
No, I have a formula. And it's one of the things I teach at my singing Callerschool, that if you can imagine, well, I know Peter probably does. You know what a sine wave is? It's a graph,
Okay,
and it goes up and down. It goes up and down like the waves in the ocean. Okay.
Okay.
Now, when you start off your dance, you don't want to start off at rock bottom, but you don't want to start off really, really fast because you've got to warm people up. So you start off with kind of a middle of a road dancer on the first tip. You get everybody loosened up. Then I slow it down just a little bit. Now I'm talking about emotionally, not speed. My dancers are 90%. Everything I call is 120 to 124. No faster, no slower, for the most part. So I'm going to do it in that range. So we're talking about a fast song or a slow song. That's irrelevant because they're all the same tempo. But emotionally, they're fast, slow, so on. So I start off emotionally, kind of middle of the road, drop it a little bit, and then I'm going to do my third tip up a little bit, and my fourth tip, I'm going to kind of peak. That's going to kind of be my first upbeat, kind of a rouser type of a thing. And as soon as I finish that, I'm coming back down to a love song. All right? Because I don't want to keep them that high. If I do, they get tired and they go home. All right, and they lose interest. So emotionally, I want to bring them down and do some kind of a love song, sad, patriotic ballad, something like that. Then I start that long climb back up again to my last tip where I want to peak. Now, and I do that same formula for every single dance I do, every time, everywhere. I don't care whether it's a festival, a club night, it doesn't matter. I use that same emotional graph. Now, that's my singing calls. Now, I also graph my pattern records to correspond. I start off the first tip very, very easy with one peak in the middle of the dance. That's tip 4. All right, I want to call the hardest pattern tip during that tip, so I call the easiest singing call during that tip. And then I bring it all the way down, so the last tip where I'm calling something really exciting is an easy-going choreo, so they don't have to think. I think we need to cause the dancers to think less and smile more.
Love it. Let's get to your recording business. In the 45 years of producing Square Dance Record, what were the main reasons for picking a certain song and produce it as a singing call?
I have a criteria, and many times a lot of the guys that record for me and just callers in general will send me records and say, hey, what do you think of this as a singing call? To me, and I have my own guidelines, but when I used to date or whatever, I would look for a reason not to date that girl again. All right? And if I couldn't find one, I had to call her up and ask her out. I do the same with singing calls. I listen to a song and think, okay, just because I can doesn't mean I should. So let me listen and see if this thing, it might technically fit. But is this something that's going to motivate the dancers? Are they going to enjoy dancing? Is the syllables such that the caller can actually say the words? Is the phrasing, is the range too wide to work? I look for some reason not to do the song. All right. And if I can't find a good reason, I just go ahead and record it. And it's harder to find the really upbeat, knock 'em dead, hang 'em from the rafters type of a song. Those are hard. The love songs are very easy to find. Finding the right love song. But for example, I wanted to do Rocky Mountain music many, many years ago, and I could not find an arrangement that worked. It took me about 5 years to finally find one that would actually work. Okay. But if it's worthwhile, eventually it's going to happen. So when I go listen to a song, can I put a rhythm track that's danceable? And sometimes you have to get creative. So I'm thinking, okay, if I use, for example, country music loves the boom, blap, boom, blap, boom. They like that kind of rhythm. It makes you dance three-legged. I don't like that. So I've got to find a way to make it with the doom, something that'll make them dance that doesn't really ruin the feel of that song. So if I can do the song exactly like the original, but give it a dance feel that works for us, then it's recordable.
I can tell you some if I'm practicing with my vocal coach, sometimes I'm practicing the original song, sometimes I'm take the Square Dance music side of and sing it in the voice lessons. And each time if I pick a song which is slower or is sometimes a laugh song, and I play the Square Dance music, my vocal coach, she get great eyes and looking to me, are you sure you want to do this? Okay, I can understand your explanation. We need the beat to show the dancers that there's a beat. Boom. But do we really need this strong beat, or can we trust the dancers that because we teach them dancing, that they can find the beat themselves?
No. You've got to have. Or if you look again, you go to a disco floor or a high school dance, or whatever. Do you see them dancing out there without the music? Because if you take away the rhythm track and that bottom beat, you basically taking away the music. So if you have no music, why are you dancing? So yes, we have to have that, and because they need, again, we want all people to dance, not just the people that are good dancers. We want everybody to square dance. That's the beauty of what we do. And so it's kind of like if I say square through four hands, right? And I say, touch quarter, use your right hand. So we got beginners, all right? With the right hand touch quarter. What does it hurt if I say with your right hand touch quarter? It helps them. Same thing with music. If I give them the rhythm they can dance to, it makes them dance better, which makes them more comfortable, which makes them happier, which means they come back.
And synchronize them, that they choose the same beat and not a freestyle. Okay, I understand, yes.
Yeah, we need to help the dancers every chance we get.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you do some research before recording a song? I mean, Paul Cody had a survey on patter music where he sent 4 patter pieces around and asked callers about their opinion. Do you do things like that?
I do. I research every song we do. And or for example, there's one song I wanted to cut for a long, long time. It's been cut by 2 or 3 other labels. I did not like the way it was recorded. All right. And so but every time I pull it out, I think, no, it's too fast. No, it's too fast. No, it's too fast. And so yesterday I finally said, I'm going to cut this thing anyway. All right. But I'm going to cut it at 118 beats a minute, which is slow. All right. But I went online and I listened to the karaoke cuts. There are 8 different karaoke cuts to this song, recorded 8 different ways. I listened to all of those to see which one of those rhythm tracks wanted to make me move along. And that's the one I'm trying to copy. And so this is a song that was out years ago, but it was much slower. It was recorded at 92 beats a minute. And everybody that's recorded with square dance cut it at 128. You cannot say the words quickly enough, but at 118 you can. So I'm experimenting. In my opinion, it's going to work, and I just love the song, so I'm going to cut it. If it fails, then it fails. But every song that comes out, I listen to it and think, all right, I'm releasing one next Tuesday, as a matter of fact, and it's not cut in 64s. It's cut in 16s or 48s, or you want to cut it. So in order to make it work, I've got to do 32 beats or 16 bars repeated 14 times. Now I've got to tell myself, okay, do you like this song well enough to repeat it 14 times, the same phrase? And I thought to myself, okay, if I get vocally and instrumentally diverse enough, it'll work. And I think it did. And I'm very, very pleased the way it came out. But you need to research each song and say, what is the very best way to cut it? Most songs, there's some songs that are quite easy, but most songs are at least 2, 3, 4, or 5 different ways, technically, of recording the same song. You've got to find the best. And that's not always possible, or it's not always easy. So you find the best. This way it works. For example, there are several that if you copy the original song, it won't work. So you have to adjust without losing the feel of the song. And sometimes, that's just in my opinion, is what you have to do.
Is that the recordings you were speaking about? Are they on the exclusive program for the
one that's coming out next week will be, yes, sir.
Okay. Is there also an emotional side to picking a song? Is there a story to that song or a history?
Well,
that you and the song have?
Well, this is what I have to review. I have to go by. This boy's name was Billy Preston. He was called the 5th Beatle. He plays the piano. He's what I call a black Jerry Lee Lewis. Really good piano player, sings upbeat kind of stuff. That's what he's into. And he recorded this song back in 1970 something. I don't know what it was, a long, long time ago. But I just love it. The actual lyrics say hardly anything at all. It's the feel. It's going to make you feel good to sing this song. The song is Nothing from Nothing Leaves Nothing. That's the whole song.
Know that?
But it's got some great piano music and organ music and horns and things that it's just, it provides an element which is good for our dancers to have a good time. Now, if it's a slow love song, you have to be really, really careful. You know, you mentioned earlier, we were talking before the podcast, years ago there was a song called Beautiful Noise. And when that song first came out, Tony Oxton and I were touring together. We did a 2-week tour every summer on the East Coast. And that song came out. We were driving down the road, and I said, God, that is so good. There's got to be something. And we worked out a style of calling to that record because this music itself is exactly the same thing 7 times through. It does nothing for you whatsoever. Not musically, not anything, but the rhythm is good. It's a Neil Diamond tune, which is always good. So we worked out a style. And we kind of jokingly said, oh, he'll call it the East Coast and I'll call it on the West Coast. But it starts off, you have to start off slow and you have to style it with your voice. If the song is worthwhile, that's what you do. There was a song came out way back, in the 60s, I guess, called The Gold Rush is Over and the Square Dance is On. And Tony and another boy named Bobby Leopard worked out a way to call that because the music did nothing for you except provide a rhythm. So sometimes you get creative, if that makes sense.
I'm sure the European dancers danced in the late 80s and early 90s remember your version of Beautiful Noise, where you start out very slow and in the middle, and at the end there's an explosion. And I remember standing in the corner, mouth wide open, watching you doing that song. A highlight, a real highlight. Now, you started Rhythm International, where you feature, well, in the first place, Japanese callers. At least that's my view. Japan is a big and growing market, I guess. Is there a different need for music in Japan?
Well, I didn't start it for Japan. It just happened. I had the idea while I was there. It's what happened. I have one English caller already. Robert Hurst is on the label, and I'm still looking for some German callers and Swedish callers. Basically, when I started in Japan was they have 300 female callers in Japan. 300. And Japan is somewhat of a male-dominated activity. All right? And so the girls, while they were very good, really rarely get a chance to show their talents. And we had done a festival, Mike Seastrom and I, and we were sitting in a hotel room with like 30 of the Japanese dancers and callers and so on sitting around. And we would have a little sake and passing the time away. And we started singing, and they were singing the lyrics to square dance songs, but just the lyrics, not the choreo. And I'm listening to these voices of some of these kids. These were all, well, they're the kids to me. Anything under 45 is a kid to me. And they were all singing great voices, great singing, great rhythm. And I thought they need to be showcased. So that's where that whole thing started with. And I thought they need to have an avenue without having to pay to record or whatever. They need an avenue to get out there and say, listen to me. You know, and this is, I've got some experienced callers on there, 2 or 3, and they've been a gigantic help. But I want to bring along those 5 or 6 kids that are really talented. They just need a place to showcase it. That's all.
Thank you for doing this
great.
for us.
You're doing that, yeah.
And then what music do they listen in Japan in the radio? Do they listen also the country music and the songs you have on your label?
They listen to both. They listen to a lot of Japanese songs, but they listen to the same ones we do, you know. And like one of my favorite groups is a group called Home Free. These kids in their 40s and 50s in Japan, they look like they're 18. That's first of all, right? And because they are look like this, but they have the same likes and dislikes as the Americans, as the Germans, as the Swedes. Same thing, except they also listen to Japanese music like you listen to German music, but you listen to U.S. music too. All right, a song I did 3 or 4 years ago was by Helen Fischer, who's from Berlin, I think, I'm not sure, somewhere in Germany, but she's a great, great singer. And her rhythm track copies the old ABBA feel from years ago. I love that feel. Now, I cut the tune and had a Japanese girl do the vocal. Yeah. It came out great, you know. So they're very diversified. And I find that the female callers in Japan are a little more let themselves go a little bit more. In other words, they listen to a wider variety of music than the guys do.
Okay, understand that point. Back to the Callerschool, you mentioned that before with the wave that you put over the night. The Callerschool you have is how to perform a singing call in the best way possible. Why did you start that school?
Well, because back a few years ago, I went to the National Convention and I listened to guys call. They did the singing calls and they were accurate, but not very exciting. They put no presentation. And then I started asking guys, do you ever listen to the original song? No, I listen to the call side. Well, the call side helps you not at all. Now, we use pop music. Pop stands for popular. Why is it popular? Because the singer did a good job. So if I'm going to go do a Frank Sinatra song, now I'm never ever going to be as good as Frank Sinatra, but if I can make the dancers feel like that, then I win. So I'm going to listen to his style. You know, what I really do not like is when the caller gets something and says, I'm going to do my version of, because I know it's going to be bad. You cannot improve on Frank Sinatra. You just can't do that. It's hard to improve on Elvis. It's hard to improve on Tony Bennett. So if you're going to do something, try to get that same feel that they did, because whoever wrote that song wrote it for a reason. All right. For a good example, there were two options. I had the option between the Osmond, the old Osmond boy, and also an older, Steve Lawrence. They both did "Go Away, Little Girl." Now, but the Steve Lawrence fits our generation better, so that's the one I use for a model. So when I call that, I try to call him as close to the way he sang it as possible, because that's the feel I want to do. Now, it's like, for example, if I put on "Beautiful Noise," first thing, and I open up, I'm not going to open up, well, if old little lady going to promenade to go, and I've heard things just that stupid. That's not the feel. It's what a beautiful. So what you want to do is listen to the original and try to generate that same feel, and that's what my school is all about.
So if we take a look at the social square dancing, the let's call it the program design together with your school, is that the picture?
I hope it's going to be perfect. Yes. Matter of fact, my club, which starts back dancing next Tuesday for the first time since last January, I've met with all the board of directors and the officers, and they have agreed that this club is going to, instead of being a mainstream club with plus tips, it's going to be an SSD club with plus tips, because for those, when we call the softer tips, I want 100% win. I want to win. These dancers, unlike 20 years ago, are not interested in how many ways I can do a right and left through. It's how much fun I can have doing a right and left through. So when I use the SSD as a base, all right, it takes away a couple of figures, yes, like Dixie style or whatever. I don't need those to make a singing call fun. I can make a singing call fun, whatever. And so I'm hoping that the combination of those two maybe will wake the callers up to, maybe instead of working all choreo, maybe I should just entertain these guys a little bit.
Which is a lot harder than putting choreo together. Yeah.
You ever try to make an old maid school teacher smile? It's tough to do.
Yeah, you're right.
So we have to focus on practicing singing calls and listen to the original one, pick up the emotion, and don't patter too much in the singing call. So singing the singing call, you said. Right?
I just got to know, one of my Japanese callers is and all the callers they tend to call, they call a pattern thing somewhere in there. They're like, and the boys run. Why? Why not sing the song from beginning to end? And I keep telling them, the choreo is not in charge. The melody is in charge, and the choreo must do what the melody says, not the other way around. As a matter of fact, when I learn a song, I practice the choreo to the original, not to the square dance music. I sing with that thing, and I sing, if I can sing the melody and make my words for the choreo fit, I win. For example, you can say square through 4 hands, square through 4 hands around. There's all sorts of ways of telling, but it depends on which one fits the melody.
Yeah, very interesting.
I got that. Yeah, I get that. I think today or yesterday, Jerry and Tony celebrated their 35th year of
Yes.
Royal Records. And Tony put a long post on Facebook, and he let everybody know the musicians, their names, and especially how good they are.
I
And
saw
he
that.
wrote that he has a Grammy. He was a producer of the year or fiddle player of the year. All sorts of titles. And I'm pretty sure that you are using live musicians as well. And,
Yes.
that must be expensive, I guess.
It's very expensive, and what causes and Tony and I talk about this all the time because we've both been using Hilltop Studio in Nashville for lots and lots of years, but the costs literally have quadrupled over the last 20 years, and yet our sales have dropped off by 90%. It makes it very, very difficult. So we strive to have a break-even situation. This is why we do the package, because the package deal is the only way we can have money in hand ahead of time to go record music. And then we know what we can do. And because when it used to cost $100 for a 3-hour session for a musician, now it costs $400 for a 3-hour session for a musician. You multiply that times 8, then plus the leader and plus the engineer, you're looking at $4,000 for a 3-hour session. How many songs can you cut in a 3-hour session and still make money? It's difficult.
I see that. Would Rhythm Records sound different if we pay $50 a singing call?
The same selling number?
I would like not to think about it that I would like to think it'd be the same quality. Where the difference would be that there sometimes we'd use synthesized strings where I like to have live strings. Sometimes we use synthesized horns where I like to have live horns. But you're talking about paying 10 extra musicians. And I'm not sure even $50 a record would cover that. But
okay.
I don't think, Tony and I, we spend, all of us, all of the producers, spend a lot of time in getting this arrangement set just like you want to. And I can't think of, other than strings and horns, I can't think of any changes I would make that I don't already.
Okay.
I would like
Peter and I were thinking about... Sorry. Peter and I were thinking about what can we do for you because you're devoting your time to our podcast here. And what we want to do is all our listeners, and we believe it's in the hundreds, 250 we guess, buy Rhythm Records. Maybe next week.
That'd be lovely.
but also support the other labels, of course, as well. Because without music, we don't have to talk about dancing anymore. I don't think of a reason. I cannot think of a reason meeting the people other than dancing without music. So let's pay for the music.
Yes,
we've made a push a while back. It's like, all the labels deserve your attention. So buy the song or the music or whatever that you like best, but don't just call music that's 20 years old. If what we suggest is take one of your larger dances, one of your average dances for the year, and take the proceeds from that dance, buy new music with it, like every 6 months. If you don't buy from me, buy from Royal, buy from Ego, buy from Acme, somebody, but invest in new music instead of the dancers pay you every time you call. Reward them by giving them something new as often as you can.
Absolutely. My personal opinion on that is also that the prices for our dances at least have to double. Not to pay the callers, but to have better halls, provide a more professional surrounding, and make the whole activity competitive.
It is. We're so underpriced. We are.
Absolutely, yeah.
I use mine. If you're going to go to the movies. Now, I don't know what it costs to go to a movie in Germany, but over here it costs you at least $10 a person. But you can go dancing for $4 or $5. I don't think that's fair.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Well, Wade, that was a lot of information, and we really appreciate you talking
yes, we
to
do.
us and taking the time, even with that hurricane outside. Is there anything you want to say to our listeners?
Just that if you're a caller, first of all, if you're a dancer, forgive your caller. He's doing the best he can. If you're a caller, make sure you are doing just that. Do the best you can and give them all you can.
Amen.
Nothing more to
Thank
say,
you,
I
Wade.
think. Martin, do you think it's close to time to call our lounge for today?
I got a lot of things to think about, and I think it's time to close the caller lounge. I agree.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you,
Again.
Wade, again for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Everybody go and buy records, buy rhythm records, and stay safe.
Yes. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If I may start, mine goes all the way back to 1957, and that was the first time I ever called. It was also the first time I ever danced. We only had 15 figures, and my father was a choreographical master, and everything was choreo and had to be that. And on the second night, he did a singing call, which I had never even been to a square dance before. And I said, I said, I can do that. He said, no, you can't. I said, yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. So the battle went on. I was 19 at the time. And he said, then show me. Well, it was an old 78 RPM record, and he had a cue sheet. Well, it doesn't take long to figure out the melody. It was a standard 3-chord progression. And so I put this big 78 record on, picked up the cue sheet, and I did the call. The dancers danced, and they had a wonderful time. Between tips, my father says, you can't do that. I said, do what? He said, you sang it. You're supposed to call it. And I said, what's the name of this? He says, it's a singing call. I said, that's what I did. I sang it. And I haven't changed in 60 years. I'm not going to change. Because the dancers during the patter, that's choreography. And the choreography, we have some wonderful choreographers, and those who call wonderful choreography. It's smooth, it's flowing, but bottom line is it's close to close order drill. It's not close to dancing. Now there are some callers whose patter is very smooth, and it approaches dancing, but you're still sliding now. But most callers don't have that rhythm that just makes you bounce and swing and feel like dancing that you have when you go onto a dance floor and actually dance. So the singing calls, and what has upset me this will be my 63rd year of calling, and what bothers me is that when the caller does the singing call, basically he just changes the music and he's still calling patter. Or he may sing 4 bars of the song and call patter for the rest of it. I don't think that's what the dancers truly want. And it is not easy to sing a singing call. Most callers think it is, and I promise you it's not. So about 8 or 10 years ago, at a couple of national conventions, I sat and I just listened to guys sing. And they find their corner, but they just really sound bad on the way. There's no style, there's no presentation, there's no imitating the original artist. It's just another form of patter call. Again, this is only my opinion, and some guys do better than others, but if you listen, for example, you listen to Tony Oxendine do a singing call, that is not patter. He is singing that song. He presents that song. He styles it. He gets an emotional grip on that floor. And he makes them dance. He doesn't make them just slide along and march to the music. He makes them dance. You've got several callers like that. Tony and I both had the same mentor into a caller. His name is Dick Jones. He passed away several years ago. But he taught Tony and I both, if you're going to sing, sing. If you're going to call patter, call patter. They are different. They're two halves of the same tip. Anyway, so yeah, that's my feeling. I think we are cheating the dancers. You know why? Because you can sit with a computer and you can work choreography, but it takes work to style and sing a singing call. No, I was just going to say that you're always going to have that 10% that are, for the lack of a better word, ladder climbers. They want to do it better and better and better. All right, but if you go to a high school dance, you're going to have 10% of the nerds standing on the side discussing chemistry and science. You're going to have 90% of that dance floor holding a little girl close and enjoying the social activity. I prefer to be part of the 90%.